It's Tuesday already.
Sorry.
Every time. Lisa doesn't even have to be here. It's so funny,
There
guys.
she is.
For those of you guys who don't know, we literally talk for about 10 minutes before we start the show, and it's rarely about football. So the conversation just continues. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is the Our Turf Football Podcast. I am Dana. We have Kate. We have Sonia tonight. Lisa's not even here to start us all off, but look, I love it. We're just carrying on her tradition. It's so fun. So I look at Lisa's in the comments, though. She's like, happy Tuesday. So you guys, here's the conversation we were having. I'm just going to let you know. So none of the significant others of the other three ever remember that they have a podcast on Tuesdays. We've been doing it since 2013. But they just forget, and that's okay, I guess. My husband luckily does always remember, but that's because I have my setup done before we go with my setup. So Lisa will be here tomorrow to do the college show, so that'll be really fun. You guys will get to hear all about those college quarterbacks, I'm sure, so that'll be great. All right, but tonight we are going to talk about week 4, looking into week 5. But before we do that, we of course want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Donkey's Place Cheesesteaks, who sent me the cutest little donkey stickers with our order. It's the cutest little thing. I love it. Donkey's Place Cheesesteak has been our sponsor of this podcast for 5 years now. 4 or 5 years now, I believe. What is so funny? Can't ever control them, ever. So they have 3 locations. We have Medford, Mount Holly, and Camden. And of course, you can go to goldbelly.com. And I'm going to mute her. I'm going to mute her so we can't hear her. There we go. You can go to goldbelly.com and you can look up Donkey's Place Cheesesteaks. They can send them directly to your home. We are hugely appreciative of them sponsoring our podcast. And so should you guys be, because we don't have commercials because of Donkey's Place. So thank you so very much. Are you better, Sonia?
Yes. I'm sorry. When you put me on mute, it almost made me laugh even harder.
So funny. Yes. Here's the interesting thing. Sonia just got off a 12-hour shift. So we're going to go ahead and forgive her for her loopiness for sure. For sure. All right, everyone. So, of course, we want to say hello to everyone in comments. Hello. Hello, Sue. CP wants Sonia put in a timeout. That's so funny. We have Kristen is always here. Big Red is here. It's so good to have all of our people here. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Y'all. And look at this. Hello, King James Record. We love him. He retweets this podcast every single week onto his radio network, and we are so appreciative of it. We love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, let's get started. Week 4, we had 2 Monday night games. One that was the most boring game I've ever had. It was so bad, that Broncos game. It was just not good. And I don't know what's going on with the Bengals, except for everybody's hurt, and it was just a mess. But that was a boring disaster. The Jets. Can I tell you my fantasy football story? So, with 3 minutes, I would play in 3 leagues. And only one league is a pay to play, right? And that's our money league that I play with the emergency room at the Children's Hospital that I used to work at. And I had 3 minutes left in the 4th quarter. I had a 1% chance of winning. I needed to get 13 points out of Garrett Wilson. Well, guess who gave me 18? In the last 3 minutes, and I won. Still in first place. So excited. God,
shout out Garrett Wilson.
I know. Can't even be mad at the Jets, can we? So funny. And of course, Lisa wants us to mention Tyreek. I don't know if you guys saw that. If you did, don't watch it if you haven't. That was just gross. I hate it when they retweet those things. So how was your weekend, Sonia? Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. Unfortunately, I won't be able to talk about all the cool college games that were on this weekend tomorrow, but it was a good weekend. I enjoyed it. Had a great time. Lions played great. It was fantastic.
Awesome. Kate, what about you? You went to a baseball game, didn't you?
I went to a baseball game.
Whatever.
I don't know if the Cleveland Guardians have had they were 15 and a half games back. They were 11 and a half games back, like on September 3rd. I would like to say that they've just had this epic string of victories the last 2 weeks. I don't want to say it's been an epic collapse by the Detroit Tigers, but I think it's a little of both. And they're playing each other now in the playoffs. And Detroit took today's 2-1. That was a very good pitching game. A lot of back and forth action. So I'm like depressed about my NFL team, but I got my baseball team in the playoffs, and then the Cavaliers start up. Yesterday was media day, so the Cavaliers are starting. So all the sports stuff going on and then college football, right? So like I am sports crazy. It's a good thing I don't have a job right now because I am so busy watching all my sports stuff. All of the playoff games for my baseball team are at 1:00 today, tomorrow, and Thursday. I don't know who's going to the ballpark. I don't know who's watching on TV. I don't know if people are taking vacation days. It's a little frustrating, but it is what it is.
Yeah. But you're right. Cleveland has something to look forward to.
It's something to look forward to.
Hey, they're not in our first segment, which is really good.
It
That's
is.
something to talk about. So this week, I decided that I wanted to talk about these 0-4 teams because I don't know if you could get more different 0-4 teams than the ones that we have for sure. So let's go ahead and kick that off. So I wanted to start first with the Jets. And I know Lisa just said, who cares about the Jets, but we care about the Jets. We care about them. We care about them, Lisa. So interesting thing about the Jets, they are an 0-4 team, but let me just give a little caveat here. So they lost their first game to the Steelers by 2 points, 34-32. To the Bills, they lost by 20, but it was the Bills, 30-10. The Jets, they lost by 2 points. But it was 27-29 against the Buccaneers. And then they lost by 6 points to the Dolphins last night. I have a hard time, and I want to know your guys' opinion on this, writing the Jets off. Yes, an 0-4, start. That only gives them anywhere from a 6 to 10% chance of actually making the playoffs. So we know that that's not what they want to do. But interesting, I don't know that I can write off this team. I love Aaron Glenn. I love everything that he's doing out there. I think that Justin Fields fits that system. He was running his little tush off last night. They have talent for sure. They had some injuries, which was unfortunate. But I'm not ready to completely get rid of this team. Sonia, what do you think about the Jets?
I think that they are better than their record. I think that they have a fantastic defense. Justin Fields, I think, has found a home. And I think they'll get there. They're going to get there. And it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be improvement throughout the season. And I think as long as we see that, they're going to be great. So I think they are 0-4, but I think they're a better 0-4 than what their record says.
And they say a team is what their record is, right? I just don't buy that this early necessarily in the season. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not saying that they're, contenders, of course, or anyway. I don't know. I just feel like this team is better than their record states, kind of like Sonia said. Kate, what do you think?
Well, the Ravens are 1-3, and I have not written them off yet.
Right.
I think they're having turnover issues. If they can't figure out how to stop turning over the ball, they're just going to keep losing these games by 2 points and 6 points. There's Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa agrees.
We could very easily be talking about the Dolphins at 0-4 today.
Yep.
If they get a little. So I think for them, this weeks 1 through 6 is not just getting rid of the rust. It's the new coach and the new quarterback and and it's going to take them a while to figure that out. There were a couple times last night though where Justin Fields just looked like a deer in the headlights. And I'm like, dude, settle in. Like he's already got those big, beautiful brown eyes. And then the camera's on him after a bad play. And he's just like, I'm like, oh, look away. Don't look at him. I don't think he's that scared. But they have a couple things they need to fix or it's going to be a very long, difficult season.
Yeah. Kristen wants to know, is it the coaching? I think that this whole coaching stuff is new this year, right? I love Aaron Glenn's style of coaching. There was reports he was screaming so loud at this team after the game last night that they could hear him in the press room. And so he has that, for lack of a better term, and not that this should be the comparison to everything, but although it could be, it's fine. He has that Mike Tomlin kind of, feel about him where he's angry, but the players love him, but he's mad and do it right. And that kind of rough and tumble thing. And yet then he dances down the sideline, which has been my favorite video of the whole year so far. I don't know. Do either of you think that this is something we can lay on the coaching just yet? So no.
I think they're just growing and trying to figure each other out. I think if we're not seeing like small changes or small little tweaks, then maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I think right now they're just trying to figure everything out.
Mm-hmm. Sue says a field is a lot better than quarterbacks they've had lately, which is
Agreed.
funny to say since they had Aaron Rodgers there, right? But Aaron Rodgers was not a fit for what they needed him and for what they could do. Kate, do you feel like Fields is maybe gonna stick there for a while?
I do.
Mhm.
There was a quote from Aaron Glenn last week or the week before. Like, he's so fun to watch. Like, he is that
Mhm.
screaming, yelling kind of coach. But there was that video of him doing the sideline dance when
Mhm.
they scored. And he said that this team was not an instant coffee team. It's going to take a while to brew.
Mhm.
You can't just add water, blow the whistle, and go. It's going to take a while to brew. They're going to have to, it's a little weak right now. You got to let it sit. It's going to take them all a while to find their groove. But by week 10, they've had enough time.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the number for me to know if this combination of coaches and Justin Fields is going to work. It was great, to your earlier point, to see Garrett Wilson getting some catches because he has been really underutilized and undervalued by fantasy owners since he got to the league because he just hasn't had that quarterback play. And if that was the beginning of this beautiful friendship between him and Justin Fields, Jamar Chase ain't getting no yards with Joe Burrow out. Like who there were quite a few this weekend. Romeo Dobbs and 2 or 3. Like, there were a bunch of games I watched this weekend where there was a receiver that hit 2 or 3 TDs, and Wilson got to join that group. So maybe if he and Justin can figure things out, this is a good sign for them.
Yeah, I like what you said about giving to week 10. We in this group often say weeks 4 to 6. So that's kind of why we're talking about it right now. But really, when you have new coaching, new quarterback, new everything, you got to give them a little more time. I'm good with the whole year, but yeah, week 10, you should know if things are.
If Justin Fields is the right fit for this, for what Aaron Glenn's going to do with this team, I think we'll know by then.
Yep, agreed. Lisa would like to add that Sauce Gardner got owned by the Dolphins receivers. And that is, yes, it is. I agree. But at the same time, I think it's just going to take a little time. That defense was a little suspect, though, for sure. All right, the next 0-4 team is not quite so optimistic for these guys. We're talking about the Tennessee Titans. They don't have those close wins, right? They lost their first game 20-12 against the Broncos, and then they lost 33-19 against the Rams. Then they lost 41-20 to the Colts, and then they were blanked by the Texans, who's another team that's struggling right now, 26-0. So, really, I think when you look at this Tennessee Titans team, they have Cam Ward, newbie, new kiddo. We'll see but their offensive line is statistically the worst in the league. And then you put a rookie quarterback behind there. It's a mess. They have, I want to say, due to my little Seahawks heart, I want to say, they brought in a decent wide receiver, but, Tyler Lockett he's getting older and they don't have they don't seem to be using a lot of the other guys that they have, even their rookies. And then, honest to God, the play calling has been just bad. Like, it's just been bad. I don't, Sonia, this one will be for you. I don't have the same optimism. I think the Titans are just a continuation of the bad that they've been. And unless they fix that offensive line, that poor Cam is screwed.
Yeah, agreed. The Jets, you kind of feel like, oh, they're just so close. And they have been in games, right? They've been very close, but not the Titans. Not the Titans. And I think they just have a lot of work to do. They don't have a lot of, Cam Ward is a start. But now you need, like you said, that offensive line. Now you need you got Tyler Lockett, but he's old, like you said. They need more work. They need a lot more work. This year might be a good way to kind of start things, but they need a lot of work.
Right. Kate, Brian Callahan, this is a mess for him. I don't know how long. I don't know if they continue like this. And I'm not saying no wins. I know that the two of you feel those 0-win seasons very deeply. But I don't know. It's pretty rare, right? So they'll probably eventually win a couple of games, a handful of games maybe. But I think if he can't get it together, this is a team that seems to me like they will cut him quick.
Agreed. But I was looking at the stats for these teams.
No?
The Titans have the 29th ranked defense. The Jets are at 28. The Saints are at 30. Like, there's a reason why if your defense is not good, you're not winning games. But what I found to be one of the most interesting statistics that I think speaks to Brian Callahan is they're 30th in penalty yards, meaning lowest. They only have had 147 penalty yards. There's only two teams, the Lions and Bears, who have had less penalty yards. And I think that's the kind of stat that it's not a sexy stat, but it speaks to Brian Callahan and what their coaches are doing and what the pre-snaps, all of those things where the guys' heads aren't in it. These guys, they're not giving away yards on penalties. I guess we'll put it that way. The Giants are leading the league. They've given away almost 400 yards in penalties already through 4 games.
My guy gave up 4 in one series.
In one series. Am I right? So I think those kind of things are the things that front offices will look at. That's going to buy Brian time. They're going to look at it and go, listen, he's got control of this team. They're listening to him. They're disciplined. Fair. We just need to wait for things to start to clicking. I mean, they had the first pick in the draft last year for a reason. That whole team had issues, and you can't fix everything in one draft. I think Cam Ward will get there. It's a huge adjustment for him, but he will get there. But I'm not worried about his job just quite yet.
Yeah. So Steven says, I think the Titans is all growing pains because they can only go as far as the quarterback takes them. Peyton Manning wasn't the best his rookie year either. I agree with that. I think that I mean, I think when you look at the quarterback play, you give a lot of leeway, right? You give a lot of grace there. He is young with a horrible line, right? So we get that. And so I understand that, but you're right. On the defensive side, what they need to do is figure out how to start to beef this up. Sue says it starts in the trenches, and it absolutely does. And Kristen reminds Tyler can only do so much. Exactly. If your quarterback doesn't have time to throw, then he's not going to be able to get it to him. I think the stat I read was, I think he's not separating the ball. When he does throw the ball, he throws it to Tyler, and Tyler's not catching it because it's not in the right spot. So there's just a lot there. Kristen wants to know if they end up first overall in the draft, who they should go for. That sounds like a college question to me right now, but I would think go for the best defensive player at this point. Ladies, what do you think?
Defense or O-line for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely O-line, because it starts in the trenches. And you think about when the Lions kind of rebuilt and redid some things, they started with Frank Ragnow at center. And so even though a lot of people were like questioning, like, why'd you pick him? But you got to protect your quarterback. And I think that's going to be a big start, a big thing. So looking at some O-linemen, I think would be a very good idea for the Titans.
Steven says, let's wait until the end of the draft questions. They might look bad now, but things can change next week. And it's true. They could, much like the Jets, they could really start to kind of gel and kind of knock out some of these in just a little bit. So very interesting.
I mean, I'm looking at their roster, Tyler Lockett, Calvin Ridley, who's been hurt, Eric Iamaner for running back, Tony Pollard, Julius Chestnut's got a lot of raw. They've got a couple guys on IR. I think they've got enough raw talent to work on and build from if they had, like Sonia said, that help in the trenches. If he had a little more time, he could get to these guys.
Agreed. All right, so let's look at our last 0-4 team. There's 2 in the AFC, just 1 in the NFC, and that is the New Orleans Saints. They've had a rough. Let's just say the Saints have done kind of a murderer's row. So they started out 3 games in a row against the NFC West, which when you look at the standings, the NFC West is just a killer division this year. They lost 20-13, just set 1 touchdown from to the Cardinals. They lost 26-21 to the Niners. the Seahawks kind of took it to them 44-13, and then they lost 31-19 to the Bills. So the Cardinals, the Niners, the Seahawks, the Bills, and they turn around. They get to play the Giants, but who looked better. I don't know if that was just a rookie bump for Jackson Dart, but they look better. They play the Patriots and then the Bears. These guys are having it this year. There have been a lot of talk about the quarterback play, even though we love Spencer Rattler. And he's playing better than a lot of.
We even tweeted on his birthday. We sent him a birthday shout out.
We did.
But they also are probably having problems with their line. And then they're having a lot of problems in the red zone, which is kind of interesting. Their defense has really declined. We used to think of how strong that Saints defense was. They have not been doing well there either. So the Saints I struggle with because I think of them as a team that has had to play some really strong teams. And they stayed in them They stayed in a lot better the Bills game. I mean, the first guy, I was like, all right, look at you, Saints, holding up with the Bills. And then it just kind of went away. Sonia, what do you feel about the New Orleans Saints?
They need a quarterback. Bless you, Spencer Rattler. We love you, Spencer Rattler, but they need a quarterback. And I think that once they get that, that'll kind of get things back in order. Mm-hmm. And even if they just, even if he just gets it together and magically comes together and they get great, but they do definitely need somebody to be a quarterback on that team.
Yeah. I just don't feel strongly about, I know Big Red, and I'm so sorry. Big Red is a huge Spencer Rattler fan, but
I love you, Big Red.
I think, Kate, that they need someone that they can kind of put on their back, that he can put the team on the back and kind of roll with it. And they haven't had that in a long time.
Well, and if we talk about something that I see as a commonality, again, I'm going to go with numbers between the Jets, the Titans, and the Saints. They're all giving up 30 points a week to their opponents on average. They've all given up 120 points this season, and that's 30 points a week. That means your quarterback's got to be stellar if your defense is going to give up that many points.
Right.
And with the Saints, it's not one of those situations where the offense is never on the field, so the defense is so tired. It's not the problem. They're having long drives that are just not ending well with points, and then their defense is just not good. It's making Spencer's job more difficult. I don't know that he's the long-term answer. I think he'll get him through this season, but they're going to need to figure out how to fix that defense, especially in the corner and safety areas. And then what that means for them at quarterback. Maybe they'd be interested in Dylan Gabriel. I might be able to work a deal with them.
There you go.
All right. Kristen wants to know, who is hurting more, the Saints or the Titans? Sonia, who do you think's hurting more? Or maybe has a bigger hill to climb?
That's a really good question, Kristen. I saw that. And I'm going to say I think the Saints are hurting a little bit more because I don't feel a sense of optimism with the Saints, like just in general. I think they have more pieces to put together. I think they have a lot more to deal with. The Titans, they have Cam Ward, and I think Cam Ward is going to be a very good quarterback. And, I think they just have, some offensive line issues. And I think Brian Callahan knows what he's about and what he can do. So I think that the Saints are having a harder time.
Interesting. Kate, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Saints expected to do better. I know I expected them to be better than 0-4 when we did our Pick'em show.
Yeah.
Same.
There are more expectations for them. With Tennessee, we were all willing to let them go through their growing pains. With the Jets, new quarterback, new coaches, Justin Fields not a rookie, but we're giving them time. I don't know that we're giving anybody time in New Orleans.
Right. So interesting. I took that question as who has a bigger hill to climb to get better. And I think the Saints have a smaller hill. I think the Titans are having a harder time, have a bigger mountain to climb. And yet there's a lot of similarities between the two. And so it's just going to be how they deal with them. I think that's going to be, I don't know. So I think I'm going to go with Titans on that one. So CP wants to know, it says, I feel like the Saints players are playing harder than Tennessee's. I get that. You do. I have to be honest with you. I've only completely from beginning to end watched one Titans game. And there did seem to be some lacklusterness there where the Saints games, they try to stay in it to win it. That's for sure. That is absolutely for sure. All right. So now let's look quickly at those lovely unbeaten teams. We got two, just two. We have the Eagles and the Bills. That's it. Just
Nobody's
the Eagles
surprised.
and the Bills. I mean, and no one's going to complain about them. I mean,
maybe
the Bills,
surprise is that there's only two.
that is my surprise. I thought for sure that there would be more. It seems early to only have two. Maybe I'm wrong there. Now we have a bunch of 3-1 teams, right? A whole bunch of them. We have the Colts. We have the Jags. I had not seen that one come. The Steelers, the Chargers are 3-1, still number one in the AFC West, those 3-1 Chargers. And then over in the NFC, we have basically an entire division, the NFC West. The only ones that aren't 3-1 are the Cardinals. And then you have the Lions and the Bucks. And so I thought that there would be more 4-0 teams, but none of those teams that are kind of at the top, either at 4-0 or 3-1, really surprised me. It's not like, except for maybe the Jags. I don't know if that I saw necessarily that coming, but good for you. Good for you, Sunshine. We're proud of you. All right. Look, and Kristen says, and thank goodness the Jags took down the 49ers.
It's Mr. Sunshine.
Thank you, Sunshine. Absolutely loving it. These teams are so fun to watch. Kristen and I could do a whole show on DVOA rankings and PFF rankings for the Seahawks because they will blow your mind. Eventually, the national media will pay attention for sure, but we'll get there. So, all right. When I asked what people wanted to talk about this week, Kate hops in and says, I want to complain. I got some complaints. I said, okay, sister, you do you. Kate, what's your complaints?
So I got three pet peeves. I'll call them
Pet
pet peeves. They're things about the NFL in general, and I guess the rules that make me crazy. For example, and I know I noticed it in my game when the Browns played the Packers a couple weeks ago, and then I saw it in a whole bunch of games this week. This is nothing new. When you're in the red zone, when you're at the 10-yard line, and the offense commits a penalty, they go back 10 yards, 15 yards, whatever it is. The defense only has to go half the distance of the goal. So there was one point in one of the games where the defense committed a penalty on the 1-yard line, and it went to the half, and then another penalty, and it went to like the half a yard. And then the offense committed a penalty, and it went back 10 yards. Shenanigans. Because shenanigans. I know you can't give them the 10 yards, but if you're in the spot on the field where the defense only goes half the distance of the goal, then the offense should only have to go backward half the distance. Whatever half that distance was, they should go back because
let me ask you this.
That's just harsh.
So what you're saying is the NFL doesn't treat the offense and the defense equitably? What?
That's what I'm saying.
Who knew?
Who knew?
I know it's crazy, but again, penalties. It's a revision of the penalty system that I want. Not necessarily what constitutes a penalty, but what happens when a penalty happens. Because my other pet peeve is offsetting penalties. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
I've seen people do stuff and then someone else is like, oh, well, he's already got a flag. I can do whatever I want and I can do unnecessary roughness, and they're just going to cancel each other out. I want down and distance to still be the penalty. The offense gets to replay the down, but they lose the yards, or they lose the down, but they move forward however many yards. They're in a different place on the field because when they offset, nothing happens to either team. The game just continues. And like I said, I've seen a lot of what I'd call retaliation penalties, where when they know someone jumped offside, it's a free play. It's not just a free play for the quarterback to gunsling that ball down and to not care if it gets intercepted. It's also a free play for some of those offensive guys to hit and get a little chippy and a little dirty if they want to get back at someone from earlier in the game. And I think if I can find somebody to make that case to the NFL that it's a safety issue, then maybe we can stop with the analyze both sides of the ball. You give the offense the yards, but they lose it down. So if you were 2nd and 7, it's now 3rd and 7, but maybe you're in field goal range now where you weren't before. Like that can make people think twice about committing those second penalties. Because otherwise there's no point. There's no penalty for either of them when they offset like that. And it's like a game that ends in a tie. It's like kissing your sister. And if we're going to talk about tie games, Sonia fell asleep Sunday night. You were probably one of the smart ones. I stayed up, watched that whole game, and then I was up till 2 or 3 in the morning, aggravated that it was 40-40 in a tie. I was like, where's second overtime? My husband, I woke him up and he's like, what? And I'm like, where's the second overtime? Why are we only playing one overtime? He's like, Kate, that's college ball. And I'm like, crap. Even I pulled a Donovan McNabb and forgot the overtime rules. I wanted second overtime. I wanted second overtime, and I want it to be a soccer style overtime with free kicks. You each have to kick a field goal from the 20, and if you make it, we back it up to the 25. And if you make it, we back it up to the 30 until one of you misses. Yep. I can't have a tie. These are all the kissing your sister, offsetting penalties. It's the same thing other than my red zone penalties where I think the defense is getting away. I know they get an automatic first down, and sometimes that can be enough to get that offense going. But the yardage is just to go from first and goal on the 1 to first and goal from the 11 is hard when the defense is only going to get this much on a penalty that they commit. Because they're committing penalties just to stop a touchdown. They're going to keep committing those penalties, and the ball's only moving this much.
Right.
Thank
so,
you for letting me vent.
Get it out, girl. Get it out. Okay, so Sue says, I hate it when DB touches a guy on third down and it's automatic first down, even though it wouldn't have been if it had been completed. I completely agree with that. Put it where the spot was, if that's what you do.
Yes.
Can we talk about spot fouls? Defensive pass interference should not be a spot foul.
Agreed.
Because they do that on purpose. We see it all the time. Either that or they need a flopping foul like they have in soccer. Because sometimes those guys sell it real good now. They get it because they're just trying to get it down the field. 15 yards. Should just be a 15 yards for sure.
Those ones that happen in the end zone.
Yep.
When you do that bomb and you now get the ball on the 1.
Yeah.
You got 60 yards in a penalty.
Yeah.
That's
ridiculous. Drives me crazy. And then Steven, Sue had said she wanted overtime more like college. Steven says, I want overtime more like college too. If the college kids have to go 7-0 times, why do people who make millions of dollars not have to? I agree, to be honest with you. There's a few other things that drive me crazy. I will say this. I saw that the whole field goal kicker thing, and everyone's like, oh, then it's like soccer. Yeah, but how then important is your kicker? They would have more than one job, as Lisa would say. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if you can't fix it in overtime, don't leave it a tie. It makes figuring out the playoffs such a pain in the butt for sure. Is there anything that drives you crazy, Sonia?
What drives me crazy? 2-point conversions. I hate them with an immense passion. I don't know why. Like, I get why you have to have, but I hate them. I really do.
See, I'm almost the opposite. I love them. I wouldn't be kicking an extra point after. The only kicking I'd be doing is kicking off and field goals. No more 1 point on a touchdown. You got to go for 2. I just get rid of the extra point, go for 2. Because if you block an extra point and run it back, you don't get 6, you get 2. I don't even understand that math. It was a Cowboys game. I turned the game on. I'm like, they got 2 points. Would they get a safety? And Joe's like, no, they blocked a kick and took it in for that. I'm like, and they got 2? And he's like, well, it was an extra point.
I don't mind 2-point conversions, but I wouldn't want to do them all the time because it's like then you're asking the offense to make 2 touchdowns in a row. And so that's sometimes, is a little much. Let them enjoy their one. If they need that second point, though, it does open up the option for them to be able to do that. We've seen some horrific play calling around 2-point conversions lately. It's like, it's like they're doing like, oh, no, let's not go for it. Go for it. You'll win the game and we can shut the TV off. But no, you make us keep it going. Drives me nuts.
Listen, coach of the year ought to be the coach that says, let's go for 2. They don't get it, and they end up losing the game by 1 because he saved us all from overtime.
So Big Red said, I feel a touchdown should be mandatory to win overtime. Agree?
Yeah, you have to go for it on 4th down. You have to go for it on 4th down. If you don't get it, the other team gets the ball. None of this kicking a field goal.
I don't know. I'm real ready for a game to be over.
Was that like
that too?
I think that was part of the XFL rules. They didn't even have punting. You just kept going for it. You on 4th down, you went, and if you didn't get it, the other team got the ball there. I don't disagree. I would make touchdowns mandatory in overtime. I'd still give you the option of going for 1 or 2, but if the first team goes for 1, now you have to go for 2. That game's going to be over.
Right.
You're either going to have 6 or 8 over.
Kristen says PKs would be absolutely amazing, but I like Big Red's idea of mandatory touchdown. I like penalty. I love that she called them penalty kicks.
Yeah, I would do it for the second overtime.
I'm totally.
You don't need a timer. You don't even need everybody else can go to the locker room.
Yeah.
And a placeholder and a kicker. All the rest of y'all can go.
Yeah, including all the fans.
Same goalpost. We don't even have to run back and forth on the field. We all know what we're doing. Your turn, my turn. We can take turns.
Exactly.
Tell you that the outrage.
Like when you do a high jump at like track meets, you go and you get one. You get 3 shots. Well, and for these kicks, you don't get 3. You get 1 shot.
Boom, done.
I can already hear the football bros having a meltdown over that, which would be just so fun to watch. I would be totally down.
Great.
All right, let's take a look real quickly at the games coming up this next week. Our Thursday night game is the Niners against the Rams. Is it the 49ers? Pretty sure 3/4 of their team is gone. They've been Shanahan so bad already, and it's only week 5. Everybody's injured.
And they're still 3-1.
Yeah, they are the most questionable 3-1 team for sure. Okay. And then we have some great games coming up. Earlier, and I don't remember who was earlier in comments. I'm sorry I didn't flesh it out. Oh, I think it was Steven that said he needed the Saints to be bad one more week because the Saints play the Giants in New Orleans. So he would like for them, but I'm sure that the Saints fans would disagree. The Jets, which we have talked about quite a bit this episode, they play the Cowboys this week.
Fun fact, the Cowboys defense has given up more points than the Jets defense.
Okay. So that could be
this game may not be the blowout some people are expecting because that Cowboys defense is not good.
That's really interesting.
Not good.
Just one Monday night game. It's the Chiefs against the Jaguars this week. So that'll be good. Oh, and I think the Bills game is that whiteout game, which those jerseys are fire. God,
yep, that's Sunday night. Yep.
Yeah. And then we have, I think probably the game a lot of people will be watching. And this is not biased. This is actually, I've heard this from national media. The Bucs and the Seahawks, you have 2 good teams. Which one's going to come up on? They're very similar. So it should be a really good back and forth game.
You were going to say the London game.
Oh, who's playing in London? I'm not even looking.
Browns, Vikings.
Oh, yes, that's exactly
what I meant. The only one watching it.
That could be fair. And a whole bunch of Englishmen. And then, but there are, I was excited for this Lions-Bengals game. Now I'm not. I think the Bengals are just a mess. But that Broncos-Eagles game, that could be real interesting and kind of see who comes to the top out. Well, God love Sue.
Texans Ravens.
Whiteout game in 80 degrees. It's good. Yeah. Fair enough.
Texans Ravens. I didn't think either of those teams would be 1-3 at this point, and
they don't think Lamar's going to play. They're pretty sure Lamar's not going to play. So
Lamar's got an attitude problem.
Well, he always has. That's why people like him. So, all right. So then Bob says, "I hope the Jets win." You know what, Bob? I kind of do too, and not anything against their opponent. I mean, the Cowboys are the Cowboys and Jerry is Jerry, but I just am ready for that team to get a win because like we were saying, I think that they're better for sure. Oh, Kristen, thank you for reminding me. Hold on. Let me bring up Kristen's here. Kristen says the Buck throwbacks are pretty cool. That's going to be the best reason to watch this game. The Seahawks and the Bucks are both playing their throwbacks. It's going to look like a 1985 game. I'm so excited. Like, it's going to be so pretty. And I love the creamsicles from the Bucks, and I love the Seahawks throwbacks. So it's going to be real fun. It's going to be a pretty game. I can't believe
y'all love the Dolphins uniforms they were wearing last night. Every time I walk through the room, I'm like, am I watching the Jaguars or the Panthers? I couldn't figure out what the.
I thought
I like
them.
No.
I think all of us liked them, but Kate. I liked them.
Everyone but me.
Yeah, but I will say the Bills are the best of all the rivalries. Yeah, they're better than the Arizona tortilla ones. I don't know what.
I didn't understand those at all.
Yeah, they look
like I was watching a college Fiesta Bowl game or something in Stadium. I'm like, is this AU? I don't understand.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, that is our show for this week. Tune in tomorrow night as we're going to have our college show. And that's Kate and Michelle and Lisa this week, I believe. Yes. And so that'll be super fun. Make sure that you check into that. It's every Wednesday night, same time, same place. You will make sure you click that bell to get notified when they go live for sure. And then we will be back here next week to see if the Jets manage to win a game and to see where those other 0-4 teams kind of sit. And we'll have we're going to actually talk about the top tier teams next week. So we did talk about kind of the bottom level ones this week. We're going to look at week 5. Are these teams sitting on top, the teams that should be up there, and how they look? So we'll get into that next week. So once again, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. If you are watching over on the other ones, remember we do have a live chat over on YouTube. You can join us over there anytime, and we will be back next Tuesday, same time, same place. Good night, everybody.